This is a Little Empire podcast. Visit us at littleempirepodcast.com and on Instagram at Little Empire Podcasts.
You gonna play that dastardly intro again?
Ow! This movie's still fine.
Is it Coley pasta?
One of them dies, that goes screw. One of them's a hottie, his name is Jay. One of them looks like Johnny Depp, and his name is Johnny Depp.
Classic Maximum Joseph.
You forget that films are supposed to have a point.
Hello and welcome to the worst idea of all time, season 3, episode 30. What did I tell you about those speakers? I said turn them off.
Yeah, and what did I say?
I don't know. I didn't hear you.
I
stopped as soon as I stopped talking. I stopped listening.
There is a fundamental problem in our relationship.
God damn it, guy.
Friendships are about talking, yes. Listening, also yes. It's a two-way street.
What did you say?
I said absolutely not, under no circumstance. If you have a problem, speak now. What did you say?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I didn't hear that. But so guys, we took a little initiative this week and decided to diverge off the usual track, which is us watching We Are Your Friends, and instead decided to take a stroll down memory lane. And I am delighted to make you informed that we have just watched Sex and the City 2 for the 53rd time.
We just want to put our world record a little further out of reach. We're getting a little antsy in our pantsy, and here we are. And, may I say, while the movie, unmistakably itself, very long, I'm feeling remarkably fresh.
Yeah, I'm feeling fresher too. In a lot of ways, it's like seeing it for the very first time again.
It feels like the first time.
Feels like the very first time. That's a reference to a song that's in the movie Sex and the City 2, thus further compounding the evidence that we have in fact just watched it. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. It's crazy to be back. How did this movie make you feel, Guy, having watched it with now about 6 months since the last time?
It'll be longer. It'll be 8 months.
Yeah, it will be longer, won't it? Yeah.
Real vacation. Certainly a pleasant change. I still take... Maybe more so now, Carrie Bradshaw. Just an absolutely uncompromising, unforgivable piece of work. Really, really narcissistic. Just an absolute fit of hysteria throughout the whole film.
Yeah, she's
negligent
yes.
towards her friends, her husband. She's just got blinkers on.
Yeah, it's all about her. I mean, that being said, we did invent a storyline midway through this week where Mr. Big again was revisiting his trouble with the Securities and Exchange Commission and was instructing Carrie that if ever she got a call from the authorities to recite a story he'd made up so that they couldn't be implicated. So we can't, there was some added meaning to what was in the actual
And a
film.
very unfortunate coincidence. That phone call happened at exactly the same time at which Carrie was going to confess to Mr. Big that she had accidentally, as she puts it, kissed Aiden, even though she totally did it on purpose.
Did she say accidentally?
I don't know.
Her words or your words, Guy?
My words, but certainly from an accurate reading of a speech I've now seen 53 times. So as Big is explaining to her in quite explicit and clear detail the gravity of the situation and exactly what she needs to do to ensure both of their safety and a life on the outside as opposed to inside of a state penitentiary. She is preparing to tell him she's kissed Aiden. They miss each other.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying about our friendship, Tim. Until we listen to each other, we're going to miss each other.
I know, but at least we're dealing with problems that are at the same scale.
Yeah.
Whereas with Carrie and Mr. Big, it's like Mr. Big's looking at some pretty serious jail time.
Well, I mean, Carrie's implicated too. She doesn't look at the books. She doesn't pay any attention to that tax stuff, as she calls it. If she doesn't follow instructions here, they're both in hot water.
And that's where they are. That's where they find themselves. But Carrie is so wrapped up in her personal dilemma of having kissed an ex-boyfriend because she didn't listen to her friends that warned her not to go out to dinner with him, that she thinks that's a big deal. I mean, look, if you're married, don't go kissing other people. It's a good rule. It's a simple rule.
Unless in your marriage it stipulates that you may.
Oh, that's true.
As a general rule, just follow the guidelines you laid out at your wedding.
Yeah.
Where you
Whatever you said at the wedding, just keep that in mind. And then you also need to appreciate that sometimes there are problems that are bigger than kissing boys.
That's
like,
right.
for example, the Securities and Exchange. And I hate to just harp on about this, but Mr. Big
You're right
and
to.
Mrs. Big
You're right to.
are looking at some serious time
That's
behind
right.
bars.
There are laws bigger than the laws that you set with your partner in matrimony
And
that
those-
apply to only you.
Yeah, those laws are actual laws.
Yeah.
Legal laws.
With actual consequences.
Like insider trading, para hemple.
Just, off the top of your head.
Yeah, exactly. So look, it's weird to be back with the gals and with Brady, and I'll tell you who was a real delight to see on screen, and in some ways it was almost like we forgot he was just about to arrive until he got there. It was Dbot. And then we were like, yes, please.
That was like walking into a room and seeing one of your oldest and dearest friends. And in spite of the fact I know he wants total global domination and to destroy humankind,
Yeah.
I kind of like the guy. I was happy
I
to see him.
know, right? You're like, this piece of shit, how fucking long has it been, my friend? It's been way too long. And it doesn't matter how bad a person is. If you haven't seen them for long enough, you're going to love seeing them again.
There's an excitement there. You can't quell it. It's like some people are good at holding grudges. Not me. What's that you say? You want to destroy, all of us? 8 months? I can forget about that and just be excited that we had a laugh together once or twice.
Yeah, and to see your erect robotic penis on screen once again.
That's right. We found some more fuel to the Dbot fire this week, didn't we, Tim?
Sure did.
To the tune of... So, what do we know about Dbot? He is a robot
He's an artificial intelligence.
designed by the Japanese
Yes.
to
In response to Pearl Harbor.
seek vengeance.
Yes.
So, he is...
No, wait, this doesn't make any sense because the Japanese incited the attack on Pearl Harbor against the Americans. I think maybe...
Hiroshima.
Yeah, I
Did
guess
you not
it was,
say Hiroshima?
No,
Did I just
said
hear
Pearl
that?
Harbor. I guess it was in response to the thing that was in response to Pearl Harbor.
That's right.
So in some
And
ways it
worse.
is. And then some.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm not saying that, like... Yeah. I'm not saying the atomic bombs being dropped on Nagasaki and Hiroshima were like equal weighting to taking out some planes and stuff and some servicemen. We don't need to relitigate semi-recent geopolitical
We're just
history.
trying to organize the chronology for
Yeah.
your oral pleasure.
Yeah. So anyway, here we are, two boys trying to figure out what this AI's up to.
And meanwhile, Samantha is just getting them all
Oh my
buttered up.
God. And the same way that Carrie's really missing the point with Big's problems, I gotta say, Samantha is missing the scale of the stick of dynamite that she's playing with at the moment.
Absolutely. You cannot get an artificial intelligence hell-bent on the destruction of America, all jacked up with a chub, a stiffy.
Hot under the collar.
That's right.
Hot and bothered.
A stiffy that I would suggest probably extends beyond his robot belly button.
It'll be telescopic. It'll be like, when you might have one, or when you're traveling, tourists have those cameras that are little pocket cameras, and then you turn them on and the lens comes out, and it's like, how does all that fit in that little cube? But it does, and that's Dbot's dick. It's like, Jesus Christ, how is this thing this big?
How
It's
tiny
insane.
was the penis of the engineer who designed this?
Yeah. What
To
kind
make
of-
it this comically oversized. And so there they are, and she can't finish it. Well, obviously they get stopped because a co-diner says, "Excuse me, waiter, that robot has an erection."
Yes.
And accordingly security is called and they prevent either of them, as I understand it, from achieving orgasm. Which means you got an artificial intelligence with severe robot blue balls.
Yeah.
You
They've
just-
cock-blocked a machine hell-bent on destroying all of us. It's not a smart thing to do.
And as with Carrie, Samantha's reaction is, how does this affect me? What's this going to do for my trip back to America? When the actual reaction should be, I am afraid that I might have incensed that Japanese artificial intelligence a little more.
We were already not in a great boat, and now the boat has more holes in it.
That's right.
I feel like there's a better analogy, but I'm
No,
going to stick
no,
with
no,
that.
it was
We're in
good.
choppy waters. We're in a small boat. The small boat was the
Has-
dangerous boat.
Yeah, it had some holes in it.
Had some holes
And
in
now
it.
what's happened, Tim?
Now the holes have gotten even bigger because you refused to fuck the boat.
Not more holes,
Bigger.
just the same holes,
Bigger holes.
but bigger.
Bigger holes. More water coming through. We could bail it out before if we all stuck together and really tried hard. Took turns.
Yeah.
We were strategic about this. But not anymore because now the holes are too big and we're sinking. We're sinking in the boat that is not having sex with
The
Dick.
boat to put this into terms that some of you physicians or physics will understand.
Yeah, they're two different things.
It's taking on more water than can be bailed out of it. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So the boat, the amount of water coming onto the boat,
Yeah.
volume gained is greater than volume bailed.
Yeah. We're talking in very technical terms. Let me try and break this down a little bit.
If you could.
It's like here's an analogy. It's like if you were in something that floats in the ocean, right?
Yeah.
And it had a small hole in it that was letting in just enough water so that you were still buoyant because you
Could be anything.
You could flick the water out.
Could be a bag you're floating in.
Yep.
And half of a coconut.
A barge, whatever you're on. But then what happens in this analogy, just to explain for those of you who aren't familiar with the boat, there are holes in the small thing, but then the holes get bigger on the thing that you're on the water
Not
with.
more holes.
Bigger holes.
Just bigger, the same holes.
Yeah.
But bigger.
I don't know. Do you want to have a crack at this?
Well,
I feel like I'm not
just
explaining
think
it right.
that, no, you got it. But I think just to really clarify, and the issue is that the amount of water
Yeah.
that is being taken on by this floating thing,
Yeah.
as you so accurately put it, is greater and happening faster than the ability of those on the floating thing to remove
Okay, let me try it this way.
way.
If we've got any mathematicians listening at the moment, so why is the value of the amount of water that we have an ability to bail out of the floating vehicle we're on? The holes are X. The amount of water is
Y.
Z. No, we've already got Y.
Solve for Z.
That's right. I think.
If
So
you can
X and Z have a correlation.
Wrap your head around that.
Y is the constant. We're in trouble.
Solve.
Solve as
And
you will.
solve quickly because we are sinking, at
And
a
I'd
rate of
appreciate
knots.
it if you'd actually get your head in
And-
the game and
yeah.
bail some more water out rather than scratching away on that notebook of yours.
Knots,
Dylan.
by the way, is a nautical term. It's nautical miles.
Yeah, Dylan.
Dylan. Whoever Dylan is.
Fucking Dylan.
The guy who created this problem. So, yeah, it's incredible for the scale of problems happening all around these lead characters. Their obliviousness to the trail of destruction that they leave
Yeah.
is staggering.
Do you feel like that's how they've lived their lives, though? They're all pretty
You
privileged
get the
women.
impression. Very insulated. It was, there are a few scenes which really jumped out in terms of just, I'm sure we've said it before, but just how garish, and how out of touch, when Charlotte and Miranda toast to the woman without help
Yeah.
before climbing through the camera lens and into the cinema and individually pouring their cocktail on top of everyone who actually paid for a ticket to see the movie in the cinema. So they that was an effect that Michael and Patrick King used where they got the actors for the first 100 screenings to climb out of the screen from behind the screen in the cinema
Crazy.
and really emphasize the point and pour water.
It must have been like that train thing when
Yeah.
they first started doing movies,
And they
People
made all the,
freaking
even
out.
though the movie's not in 3D, all of the people who went to those first 100 screenings had to wear 3D glasses.
Yeah.
And so not only are they getting
But they were safety
their
goggles.
clothes stained by,
For their drinks.
but also it did ruin, the
The
first
movie.
2 hours of the movie
Oh,
for them.
absolutely. No question. But safety first, as always. You know what it's like? It's like being in a boat when the holes get bigger and you've got to find a way to get that water out of there, is what it's like.
But the goggles don't do nothing. They do something.
I'm going to tell you what my shining light was for this watch of Sex and the City 2, and that was, and it's amazing how things change when you take a little break from it. Penelope Cruz,
Yeah.
as the head of a bank, Miss Carrie herself, thank you, I will, stunning. Best performance in the movie, greatest actor in this film, and I can't believe that I didn't pay her more attention previously.
It makes sense. I think you look at the amount of screen time and, the amount of actual days on set that Penelope would have had to give. I think that she did not quite understand the tone of the movie and the sort of general effort. I'm pretty sure that there would have been some pretty furious lead actors watching her performance at the premiere being like, well, we're all doing 50, and if we knew Penelope was going to come in at 85, we probably would have done something,
Would
at
have
least
tuned it up.
in the 10 minutes of scenes around that.
What do you think Adam Sandler was pulling on Grown Ups too? Take the...
I don't think Adam Sandler knew he was working. I think he was just told it was a walkthrough.
But they filmed it.
But, no, you're not wrong.
Do you think that's how Adam Sandler makes his movies? Because everyone, ourselves included, I'm not excluding us from this, judge him very harshly on his cavalier-seeming attitude, but maybe he's got such intensely high standards for himself and such crippling perfectionism that they know this, the filmmakers know this, and they have to convince him that they're just blocking scenes. They're just doing walkthroughs and just reading the lines aloud. Because as soon as they say action for real, he'll freeze up. He's just paralyzed.
Oh, really?
So what we see in every Adam Sandler performance is effectively a very loose rehearsal.
Yeah. Adam Sandler is rehearsing. Everyone else is acting.
Yeah.
But because they are also on eggshells because they can't reveal to Adam that they're performing for the cameras.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Delicate operation, because normally when you're blocking
Makes
as well,
a lot of sense.
you can goof off a bit, you can fluff a line here and there.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a big deal.
You can do a gag to try and make your colleague corpse.
Yeah, but obviously you can't do that when you're making the film for real. So there's quite a balance to strike there.
Undoubtedly.
With old AS.
It's it's an interesting idea, the amount of intensity that different actors bring to the set at different times. But I do think, you're right that Penelope popped off the page.
She was great.
May I share with you my shining light?
I would love it if you would.
And this was one of many options, I thought, in frankly eye-popping performance from Cynthia Nixon this week, playing the role of Miranda. Mm-hmm. Sort of the bookish friend, I think would be fair to say, is the casting that they gave her in this film.
Professor Oak, as we once deemed her.
I cannot speak to the TV character, but certainly, playing the role of Professor Oak.
Pathetic Oak.
Yeah. So, generally, everything was very well done. Also, I'd like to say, in spite of her good performance, and her performance allowing for the fact that Miranda's probably the best of all the friends, she's the most empathetic and sort of can, at least keep tabs on other people's lives better than the three people she hangs out with. In spite of that trait coming through, I still really didn't like her, didn't care for her.
No, that was apparent.
But the best piece of performance from Cynthia Nixon in the role of Miranda was when her and Charlotte, just before they had to climb out of the screen and pour cocktails on all of the
plebs,
paying plebs, Charlotte says, I've written it down actually because I didn't want to forget it.
You've written it? Look at this. Get a load of this guy, everyone.
Research.
Get a load of this guy.
So
Write
actually,
down his shining light.
It's just after that scene in the bar when Carrie comes back and confesses to everyone that she's kissed Aiden. And Charlotte and Miranda have to play drunk because they've been mime-sipping Cosmopolitans for all of 15 seconds while they piss on the audience. And they say they both don't know how to react and whether or not to tell Big or just leave it as a secret. And Miranda brings up the fact that Steve once cheated on her, and Samantha says Steve had sex, as a point of difference. Steve had sex, sorry, but he did. And Miranda's Cynthia Nixon's drunk acting is amazing. Half a head turn, she looks at Samantha, she lets what has been said sink in, she considers it, and then she gives sort of a knowing, half-glazed over drunken nod as if to say, that's right, in the interest of this conversation moving forward and us best helping our friend Carrie, I will let that slide. That services the conversation. And I just thought, to communicate all of that and the amount of time that she did, truly a shining light.
Good stuff, guy. It was beautiful.
Hey,
it's beautiful to hear.
Don't thank me. Thanks Cynthia Nixon. Send her a letter. A letter.
What I would love to do is climb up on that big, dusty ladder that is in that big, dusty library and pull out that top shelf, leather-bound book, dust it off, bring it down, have a look at it, pop it on the table. Oh, she's heavy. Oh, she's dusty. It's time to have a look at Mr. Big's Big Book of Ideas.
That's right.
And we're thumbing through.
Deep inside this leather-bound tome.
God damn, you know what's happening to these pages is all the moisture's gone out of them, and it's like turning over. It's just dried parchment. I feel like it's going to break off.
Yeah, you got to be very careful, very delicate.
Being as gentle as humanly possible. On this page, there's just a lot of diagrams of dog skeletons. I'm not sure what that's about.
Just something that's interesting to Mr. Big, perhaps at the time.
Pretty crazy. There seems to be
Over here on this page, 2 further along, there's just some grass clippings sellotaped to the actual page. Can you feel that?
That's weird.
That's real grass.
Wow, that's so odd. And then there's a picture of David Bowie that he's drawn next to the grass. I'm not sure what he's trying to communicate.
And if you
there.
go back one page, you'll see between the dog and the grass clippings, there's just an arrow drawn on each page.
It's so strange, like they're connected somehow.
Yeah.
We'll just skip ahead a couple chapters. There's one here, it says the word cobblestones, and then it's got that word, a lot of circles around it, and he's underlined it as if that's really important. There's a lot of arrows pointing
It's circled
downwards.
a lot of different letters as singular or as doubles, triples, quads.
Yeah, and then it's just the words Zodiac Killer underneath it. So I don't know what that is or means or is about, but it's all there.
Certainly curious. And a few pages further along here, I see what looks like a blueprint for something called a big market.
Big market, okay.
That looks like he's trying to design something.
Let's get into this. Let's have a read of what he's scrawled down. Chicken scratch. His handwriting is barely legible. This dude.
You can make it if you squint up your eye, like a magic eye. If you go up real close and you
Look
squint up
past
your
it.
eyes,
Okay.
you can see. And he's just written in his very, very unique and distinct handwriting, place 4, the number 4, food.
Okay.
Spelled F-E-E-D. But then he's corrected the E's to have, lines so they look like O's, but they actually look like 8s.
Right. Oh, okay. So can you see down there that like paragraph that just looks like hieroglyphics?
Yeah.
Hold on, I've got a magnifying glass. I'm going to try and read this. It's a journal entry. He's writing down about an evening where he came home with takeout from Sobu Noodles.
Yeah. Sobu, that's in the movie. He comes home in the movie with
I guess
Sobu
this
noodles.
is about that night. And he's... Okay, there's a lot of like words I can't quite make out, but I think...
Do your best.
So Carrie is saying something to him which has confused him, in that she said, "Is that you?" He said, "Who else is it going to be?" And she said, "The Cressides delivery guy." And then there seems to be a reference here to the fact that delivery man had a key to the apartment, which Big rightly brought up with this. I mean, this is an expensive apartment.
Why would you give
There's
a
a lot
key
of
to
it-
just anyone?
Well, he asked her that. And she said, "I guess that's the price you pay for eating at home." And so this has triggered off some thinking from Mr. Big about what if they created a location that people could go to where instead of sitting down and dining there where someone's cooked the food for them, which is what you do to eat, but also it's not when they bring a ready cooked meal to your house either. What if there was something else where you could get the raw parts of
The ingredients.
the food stuffs themselves in a central location and buy the ones that you want and then bring them home and prepare them as
like
you want.
A supermarket.
Well,
Or
he's
as he's written here, a big market.
A big market. It's as if the man hasn't heard of a supermarket.
Well, it can't just be him. I mean, if Carrie's saying that's how you get food in the house, that would suggest that these are two people
who just
somehow
don't know what a supermarket
living
is.
in the middle of New York City.
Yeah. They've never encountered a supermarket before, and Big is included with his other multi-billion-dollar ideas and business schemes. Not even like a detailed blueprint, but simply the concept he's describing of a supermarket. That's insane.
If you can look past the sheer ignorance and sort of just outright idiocy that is on display, it is quite something that Mr. Big, entirely of his own accord and intelligence and creativity, has in essence invented the supermarket.
Well, I guess can we give him? I guess we should give him credit for that, because despite the fact that it already exists, it's a pretty ingenious thing to think of if you didn't know it exists. You know what I'm saying?
It's incredible.
It's pretty
I
impressive.
can't imagine thinking of anything so efficient and user friendly.
So we're applauding this idea. Is this one for the books, for the good
I
books?
can't imagine him making much money off it. I mean, as soon as he shows this book to anyone else, they'll say, "Oh, yeah, we've got those already. They're called supermarkets."
Yeah, but credit where it's due. He thought he came up with it independently, and in some ways
Yeah.
he did. So congrats to you, Mr.
I'm not
Big.
in the nature of grading these ideas,
Tip
but
of the hat.
yeah.
At this point, I would just like for us to stop down briefly and hear a word from our sponsors.
This movie's still
And our sponsors this week on the worst idea of all time, special edition, just in the mix. In the mix. It's still audible.com. Those guys are still with us and we can't thank them enough. But more important than gratitude is an explanation of the service itself. What is audible.com? That's the question we've been wrestling with since the start of the sponsorship.
Every week we look it up. We look it up, in our downtime. Also, when we're on the clock, we look it up, don't we, Tim?
Oh, yeah.
You got it in front of you right now, if I'm not much mistaken.
Well, look, the main thing that you need to understand about audible.com is that it is on-demand audio entertainment. So we're talking, look, a lot of people talk about the red books, the audio books. That's true. It's like books on tape, but without the tape. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You don't have to read the book to absorb the book.
How do they get in your
listen
ears?
to the book.
Don't think about it. It's too confusing.
You know what people might not think about, though? All the different genres and types of materials that you can get. I'm talking business, classics, erotica/sexuality.
Now, that could be some fun.
Right?
It never occurred to me to listen to book porn.
Well, imagine that. There's probably Mills and Boone style novels on there, if not actual Mills and Boone books. Read by 50 Shades. I'll bet. Let's find out who's reading 50 Shades, actually.
That is a great idea. If
You
you're
talk about how great the
interested
service is.
in Audible, you can head along to their website, audible.com/try now. That's Audible, spelt in the traditional fashion, AUDIBLE. And if you sign up, do you have to use the code word worst, Tim?
No, we don't have a code word.
You don't even have to use the code word worst. If you sign up, you'll get a free 30-day trial, including a download of a book, which could potentially be 50 Shades of Grey, read by Tim.
It's hard to say. What is a book?
Well, a book is generally considered to be a collection of pages written down by one or more people pertaining to a certain topic or narrative. We've got non-fiction books or fiction books. Confusingly, non-fiction actually means true, and fiction means that they're made up.
That is confusing. Look, 50 Shades is on here, but I'm having a little trouble pulling up who's reading it to us at this present moment.
Just rest assured they've got a fantastic voice, and they certainly know where to put the emphasis in sentences and words.
Maybe it's a fun little thing for you to find out. Go to audible.com and figure out for yourself who's reading 50 Shades.
Yeah.
And then sign up at audible.com/try now. That's AUDIBLE.com/try now. Thanks, Audible.
This movie's still fine.
Collie pasta.
A doo-doo.
Squeebity beep beep ba ba bo bo. Wada ba 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 ba.
Arriba. Scooda. Scooda ba 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 ba. Do 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 do.
He ba 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 ba. Beat up skibidi ba skibidi ba.
Where's he going?
Where is he going with that hat?
That is the question. We ask it every week.
Once in a blue moon.
Yeah, we used to ask it every week, and then we stopped. We stopped asking.
Do we lose interest? I think not.
No.
A question that remains unanswered, in spite of us getting to the bottom of what the actor who played Coffee Guy telling us, which was, I can't even remember. I think he had an important meeting.
Oh man, wouldn't it be good to remember that? Excuse
could
me, I'm
try
eating
and
a
dig it up.
blueberry.
But no, it's okay. How is it?
It's a little
Some of those
past its
blueberries,
prime.
Tim, yeah, they're trying to kill themselves.
they are. That they are.
They're going soft on the edges,
Well, in this room, I'm not surprised.
which is
It
a telltale sign that a blueberry is about to off itself.
warm and moist. Listen, guys, we're not here to talk to you about moist blueberries. We're here to talk to you about where Coffee Guy is off to. What's coffee?
What on God's green earth could, necessitate a person, any person, drinking that much caffeine that quickly
Yeah.
and striding out of said cafe with that much purpose?
2 words for you, bro. Hot air balloon contest.
Oh, that makes some sense.
Yeah.
Is that, how does he know about it? Is that what he was reading about in the classifieds?
Absolutely. So you'll notice in the film that he's picked up a newspaper, which I assume he's just grabbed on his way into the cafe, one of the periodicals they've got lying out. but in there is a big old advertisement for the annual New York City hot air balloon contest.
Now, Tim, I know what a hot air balloon is. I don't understand the science behind them exactly, but I'm pretty sure it's something to do with oxygen. What exactly goes into a hot air balloon contest? I understand the idea of flying for pleasure. How does one fly competitively?
There's 3 kinds of ways that you can compete in a hot air balloon contest. The first, there's a segment of the day that is dedicated to best looking balloon. So normally this is focused on the colors that you've used. Some people go all out and have an interesting design. So it might not be your classical teardrop shape of balloon, but we've got flying saucer ones that I've seen, which are pretty cool.
So it's not painted like a saucer. The balloon is shaped like a saucer.
Shaped like a saucer.
Wow.
Yeah. There's asymmetrical ones that could be in the shape of a bird. An eagle.
Sounds dangerous.
Incredibly dangerous. It's one of those examples of the aesthetics of something really impeding on the aerodynamics.
Yeah.
And so also, it looks cool, but you get it up in the air and you are really taking your life into your hands.
Potential, or some eagles' hands. It also disrupts, the natural order of things. And a lot of eagles are quite Christian, and they're looking for what they call to be the omni-eagle.
Yes.
That is to say, the eagle that is all-knowing, all-seeing, all-conquering. And what will happen if they see that is they'll fly straight towards it.
Absolutely, as is foretold in Scripture.
And they'll incinerate themselves. And then what do you got? You got hot eagle ash all over your knees, your feet. I don't know if you're sitting or standing, but potentially your hair.
I can't stress this enough. Hot air balloons, in spite of their look, not that strong. So if you think that bird strike is a problem in a jet engine, try chucking a couple of pigeons at just a cursory pace at a giant hot air balloon.
And not all of those pigeons are intelligent enough to go for the hole. Some of them are just flying into the side of your balloon.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Because they're not their eyesight isn't that good. If I could explain it another way, it would be like if you were on the water in a boat that's got holes in it already, but you have an ability to bail out the water, which I guess in this analogy would be stay airborne. But then suddenly an eagle flies at your hot air balloon and makes the holes even bigger. It's
the holes
like
that you already have, not new holes.
The existing holes getting larger. It's like in the boat, their holes getting bigger. So more water can cut. Too much water comes in.
The difference in this case is it's more air.
I guess it's or something.
If I could just backtrack to a sentence you said just before you started using that frankly fantastic metaphor, Tim.
Thank you.
You said that eagle's vision isn't that good.
Correct. A common misconception. I'm so glad you pulled me up on this point because it's something that I would relish any opportunity to get out there more, really drive home to people. There is an urban legend out there that eagles' eyesights are very keen.
Hence the colloquialism eagle-eyed.
Yes. But that is, in fact, incorrect. Eagles are the only animal on Earth to see neither colour nor shape, just motion.
They're blind?
Effectively, yeah. They can
but not
sense
legally.
Motion, not legally.
They don't need seeing eye dogs.
Well, they don't need laws because they're eagles. Well, except for the legal eagles.
Yeah, but I mean their specialty is bird law. So how did this colloquialism get so misappropriated? I mean, as I understand it, eagle-eyed has always meant a keen eye. An ability to see something from afar.
No, I know. Because, so this is science, right? Before we had science, we were looking at birds, we were looking at eagles in particular, and we went, how is it that a bird, a powerful big eagle from such a height can see prey from that far up and be able to like take it down with such laser-like precision? And the truth of the matter is it's luck every single time.
So in spite of seeing motion, they still just guess.
They do guess, yeah. Because knowing that motion is happening, it doesn't help. That's all. That's their sense. Their version of a sense of vision is something's moving somewhere. That's their sense of vision.
But they're not considered blind.
No, because it's a type. It's like a type of
sonar.
Vision.
Are they reacting to
and that's why I say effectively blind. Effectively blind. So they can tell that visually something is moving in space somewhere.
They understand the idea of movement.
Correct, and they acknowledge when it is happening. But in terms of getting to where they need to be, getting their prey, going back to their babies, flying these great distances, migrating all around the world, all luck every time. Eagles are just incredibly lucky birds.
Wow.
So that's one type of hot air balloon contesting. The second kind is just a straight race.
Yeah, that makes sense.
If you've
A to B.
played the Sonic games or any flight simulators, you'll know those big rings in the sky you got to get through.
I'm embarrassed. I didn't think that sort of hot air balloon. I'm just embarrassed. I didn't think of that myself. So that's 2.
It's there. Even Grand Theft Auto, there's the rings thing when you're training.
Egg on my face.
Yeah, and then the third, of course, is tricks.
Freestyle.
So similar to what you see at a skate park or a half pipe on a mountain.
Oh, okay. So they go up and they do what? They do loop de loops, whirly birds,
You got it?
dive bombs,
Yep.
kick flips.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yeah.
And which of these 3? I mean, I imagine New York being the major center that it is would on the one day host, all 3 different types of competition.
Yeah.
What specifically? What contest is Coffee Guy hoping to partake in?
Well, this is the thing, because he's seen this newspaper clipping and it's brought back a lot of memories of him as a boy. It was what he used to do with his dad. They would go to the annual hot air balloon contest every year.
In New York. Born and
City.
raised.
Presumably. And he loved it. It was really the only time he got to spend with his dad, because his dad was a very high-powered figure and some business that we don't need to get into in this episode. Nor will we ever.
I think that's for the best. I read that email you sent.
Yeah. So let's not.
Kill it there.
So in particular, his dad always loved the freestyle part of the day.
Not going to say why.
Coffee Guy himself, well, I'll just say it's related to his career, but we're not going to talk about who he is.
The less said, the better.
Yeah. And Coffee Guy himself, as he got older, kind of developed his own sense of style. He became very enamored with the racing part of the day because he's got a very highly competitive spirit, and that was kind of the truest sport part of the proceedings.
That makes sense.
So that's where he's off to.
He's seen this listing in the classifieds.
Yeah.
And by his body language and the amount of caffeine he consumes, I assume on the day. So is he hoping to muscle in to a team? Has he got a balloon in the garage he's going to dust off? I mean, I understand why he's interested in it. I understand the urgency to get there. I just don't quite understand how he plans on inserting himself into this great day for New York City.
Yeah, my understanding is that he's there as a spectator.
Oh, okay.
To relive those childhood memories of him and his pa.
Nice.
Who, again, we won't talk
no,
about.
Please. And even now you're saying
if I could
more
just
than necessary,
add to
drawing
that,
attention to it.
Definitely not a man you would associate with air travel or a particular crime that may or not be unsolved to this day that occurred in an aeroplane. None of that is or isn't related to Coffee Guy's
we
dad.
should toe the company line, which we agreed on.
Certainly not a recently closed FBI investigation. That's
still
what I'm
don't
saying.
know why.
You know,
you're giving more details while saying you're not going to say any more.
It would. If I could pick a news story,
you're contradicting yourself with every sentence.
If I could pick one news story,
it's just
that means the least connection to what I'm talking about as Coffee Guy's dad.
You're giving people something to work with. They
it will
can work
be
backwards.
A news story from the 90s where a little kid was playing in a creek and found a bundle of 20s. So that's all I'll say, and none of that's connected to his dad.
Anything else jump out at you from the movie this week?
I know this isn't the first time that I've brought this up, but I'll tell you what did jump out at me, and that was the length.
Oh, yeah. Hey, I think this is the first time you brought it up, so I'd love to hear you explore it a little more.
This movie is too long for me. Too long for itself, too long for anyone, I think. And there is a moment at about the sort of hour and 10 mark where they could have ended the film, and it would have felt a little unsatisfying. They haven't even gone to the airport, let alone moved continents yet. But we've had a little sample of all the characters. We've seen everybody. We've been in a big wedding. We've had a musical number from Liza Minnelli. Yep. We've had a little bit of conflict. We've had it resolved. And you can almost see the credits start to come up in this bit where the limousine goes away when Carrie and Big are...
originally meant to be, because this is sort of a glamorous exotica type movie. It's meant to be an homage to an era past. That was where they were going to put in an intermission. But in test screenings, so they've got... Charlotte and Miranda behind the screen, and they'd be cramped up back there. There's not a lot of space. There's no green room, and they'd get to that part of the movie, and it would be intermission. And what they found is they were spending a lot of money on getting, Cynthia Nixon and Kristen Davis in a room together, and everyone would walk out of the cinema, and then, I mean, what are you paying for? You're paying 2 actors to sit behind a movie screen and watch a bunch of people walk out of a room? It doesn't make any financial sense. So they took out the intermission, and that's why it feels like a natural break in the film. And that's why it now flows quite uncomfortably as one very long, sort of protracted,
They should have kept that in.
prolapse.
Oh. Well, that's about all for my observations for the movie this week. Guy, have you got anything you want to add?
Oh, look. Don't let anything we said fool you. This is not a movie for watching. I am glad we did it. Mm-hmm. I'm a little upset we made no more inroads into knocking off We Are Your Friends. I certainly think this was an interesting use of time from us.
And again, much like everything we do on this podcast, incredibly rash decision making.
Yeah, really. I think, did you just see it on your computer?
I was looking at the device with which we watched the movie, and there they were side by side, We Are Your Friends and Sex and the City 2, and I posited to you, hey, wouldn't it be quirky if we watched the wrong one this week?
Quirky was the wrong word for it.
Well, we've done it now. So we'll be back next week with some more We Are Your Friends.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would just like to say to anyone who lives in or near or knows anyone in Perth, Western Australia, have I got news for you. Starting on Tuesday, February the 7th, I will be in Perth to perform stand-up comedy. And I don't know anyone in Perth. It's 5 hours behind and 10 degrees hotter. I am terrified.
It sounds like hell.
Yeah, so the show's called Let's All Get in a Room Together. And if you look up, it's at Noodle Palace. But if you look up Guy Montgomery, Perth, Noodle Palace, you'll find where you can buy tickets. It would mean the world to me.
Once again, you just go to guymontcomedy.com.
Yeah, or find me on Twitter at Guy_Mont. But please, if you're interested in hearing what that would sound like, I would love to see you there.
Also, we've got some upcoming live shows, which we don't have all the details on yet, but they're going to be in Australia.
And
specifically
in Sydney.
Melbourne and Sydney. And
Melbourne.
And New Zealand.
And New Zealand.
We will get the date. I mean, look, by the time this episode comes out, we may have nailed it all down.
Yeah.
So
follow
we're not
us
saying
online, but it's all published.
Go on the Facebook. I'll put it on the website. Just go wherever you get information about this, and it'll be updated. Thank you once again for staying with us on this journey. We are your friends. Don't you listen to Carrie and the gals? They're not.
They're not.
We are. And next week we'll be seeing a little bit more of Zaccoli, Somali, Johnny Depp.
You know
everyone's
him.
favourite squirrel.
You love him. We'll see him for you, and we'll tell you how they're doing.
Bye, everybody.
You gonna play that dastardly intro again?
Ow!
This movie's still fine.
Zaccoli, pasta.
One of them dies, that goes screw. One of them's a hottie, his name is Jay. One of them looks like Johnny Depp, and his name is Johnny Depp.
Classic Maximum Joseph.
You forget that films are supposed to have a point.
Thanks for listening to this podcast. If you're thirsty for another, why not try Boners of the Heart?
Do you want to do an apology corner?
Fine.
Do you want to do an apology
No.
corner to wrap up the
Because I'm the
segment?
naughty boy of the podcast, bitch.
All right, let's end it there.
Also, I mean, with all respect to the people who have passed on, who we have spoken on in this
Yes.
podcast, we do
Yeah.
it with love,
Absolute love.
absolute horniness that transcends anything.
Out of
We appreciate you. We love you.
out of fandom and arousal. Those are the two places that this was coming from.
Boners of the heart.